are the Philippine Retailers Association, the pulse and voice of Philippine retail, recognized as a national organization of retailers and suppliers in the country. The PRA membership represents nearly 80% of the retail industry, which counts all major players like SM, Robinsons, Ayala Malls, Rustan's, Araneta Center, Bench, Mercury Drug, Pen Shop, Wilcon Depot, and more. So why join PRA? It is our goal to get your business in the right track, and to make this possible, the PRA offers exclusive privileges that will surely add value to your membership. PRA members in good standing can enjoy exclusive discounts for their music licensing under PhilSCAP, which is required by the law in compliance with the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. Pulse and Voice of Retail, we represent your interests on issues confronting the industry, such as bills on the further liberalization of the retail trade, music copyright issue, contractualization, use of thermal POS printers, price tag law, among others. As a member, you can take advantage of special rates and discounts for various educational programs and projects we regularly conduct to help you advance and develop your skills and competencies and help your business grow. There are seminars, conferences, and expos, high-level and exclusive meetings, which will give you infinite opportunities for the growth and development of your business. As part of our commitment to also help retailers in the regions have access to our educational programs, we conduct regional roadshows all over the country. The PRA also conducts a 2-day career expo, which seeks to generate continuous source of qualified candidates for various levels and positions in the retail business. It is strategically held in malls to help generate increased foot traffic and correspondingly help increase sales for the retailers. PRA members enjoy exclusive privileges through the PRA BizCard, a unique program which offers members exclusive discounts, special offers, and other offerings from associate members and other suppliers. At the same time, it also allows a business-to-business transaction between regular and associate members, which is mutually beneficial for both parties, where trust and loyalty can be established. And since we want to add more value to your membership, we are offering the PRA Premier Members Card, a rewards program to serve and incentivize all members who are actively participating in PRA events and programs. We encourage and recognize Filipino retailers who have epitomized the model of success in terms of growth and good ethical best practices through the Outstanding Filipino Retailers and Shopping Center of the Year Awards, or OFRC. To support members in their employee recognition programs, the PRA spearheaded the Retail Employees Day program for the Philippines, which is celebrated every December 12. With the support of all members of the PRA, we recognize and celebrate retail employees for their role in the retail business. You have exclusive access to information and publications for industry development available in the PRA library. Through your membership in the PRA, we can help grow your network and access to local international networks through our affiliations with large influential business organizations locally and globally, like the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, the Federation of Asia-Pacific Retailers Association, the Federation of International Retail Associations, and the National Retail Federation, the world's largest retail organization. Such networks provide unlimited benefits of being connected to the local and global world of business and retail. So, who can be a member? All retailers in all formats, shopping centers, as well as suppliers of products and services to the retail industry are encouraged to join and be a part of the PRA community. How to become a PRA member? We have 3 types of membership to cater to your needs. There's a regular membership for those who are directly involved in the retail business. Associate membership for corporations or entities engaged in the business of supplying products or services to retailers. And chapter members who are any organized group of retailers doing business in the Philippines. Being a member of the PRA will give your company endless possibilities and opportunities to give your company what it needs to grow, expand, prosper, and become globally competitive. Because at PRA, our only business is helping your business grow.
Good day, fellow retailers and our allied industry partners. I'm CJ Asana from the Shangri-La Plaza Corporation, and I welcome you to the maiden episode of Let's Talk Retail. This is the initiative, another digital initiative of the Philippine Retailers Association. Um, People are wondering what's Let's Talk Retail. This is a very exciting program, and for today, our first telecast, we will be talking to a mover and a shaker in this industry, and that's going to be the theme for all the next podcast. This is going to be twice a month that you will hear insights and inspiring stories, especially during these disruptive times, from leaders of this industry. We will learn from each other, and I'm very excited to be part of this because talking to these leaders, we might be able to find that North Star. During the technical rehearsal with a fun time with our first guest, and we were talking about where this industry is going. It's very exciting, despite the fact that it is a disruptive time. So let me first introduce to you. Let me introduce to you our first guest. Um, God, we've been friends for a while. I mean, I've known her. We were together in Ayala Land, okay? Um, but she was in another group. She was in residential, okay? And I was in the malls. So she has been with Ayala Land for the past 23 years. And we're going to know more about this pivot that she does. She had a stellar career. She'll talk about that too. But the interesting part about our next guest is she didn't start in retail or in the mall. She started in another group. And that's an interesting story about pivots and about getting out of your comfort zone. So let me welcome our first guest for the maiden telecast of Let's Talk Retail, Jennylle Tupaz, popularly known as Yang of Ayala Malls. She's the president of Ayala Malls. Yang, welcome to Let's Talk Retail.
Hi, CJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, Yang.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me to your first podcast of
It's our
PRA.
pleasure.
Thank you to the PRA for it's both an honor and a pleasure, and to a certain extent, it also adds a bit of pressure to be part of your first telecast. My first podcast actually. Thank
There's
you.
always there's always a first time, don't you think so?
That's
It's
that's
exciting.
right.
And remember,
Yes.
I told you it's gonna be It's a chat between two friends. So have your
Yeah.
coffee and let's start this conversation. Okay.
I got my coffee.
Yang, your real name is Jennylle. Where did the Yang
Yes.
come from?
Oh, interesting question. So when I was a kid, my mom would put me up on her knee and she would say, yang, 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 like that. And I would react to it now. So from
Uh,
Che, I became a yang.
okay. So that's where it's a reaction. Okay.
It is
You've been working in Ayala Land for physically 23 years.
23 and a half years. So I started
Emotionally,
maybe 1,000 years
okay.
so a
And
lot
you
of things going
started
on.
where? Where did you
I,
start?
I started with a company that used to be called Laguna Properties Holdings Inc., which
What's your
today is more
Colaiko?
popularly known as Avida. Yes, it was during Mr. Manny Colaika's time when I got hired back in 1997.
All right. And then from there, how did your career go?
Okay, so in LPHI, I was hired as a project development assistant. I did not know anything about real estate then. It was my second job. My first job was with a chicken company. So
Okay.
after 9 years with Avida, I moved to what was then called Leisure and Lifestyle Communities Group of Ali. So this
Okay.
was the group that launched Anvaya. So
Okay.
it was the
Yeah.
leisure group. So I stayed there for 9 months, and that was also the year that Pluto was declared a non-planet. We
Okay.
became a non we became a non-group. So Anbayo was absorbed by Ayala Land Premier, and I was assigned to what was then known as Community Innovation Sync, and
Yes.
today it's known as Alveo.
Correct.
So I moved to Alveo back in 2007, and I worked my way up from project development manager to become its head in 2017.
But your background was math.
Statistics.
Correct.
So
So,
statisticians will challenge you on that. That stat is not math, but yes.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, your
So
background was statistics. Okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry. I didn't do well in math when I was in
No, no, I totally love math. I love math. And statistics then was kind of an obscure course, but it's so prevalent today. Data science. It's so useful today. In
Okay,
fact, it's the world today. When we go digital, it talks about data analytics. It talks
right.
about patterns. So I'm realizing now how useful it was to take up stat.
And I'll talk to you about that analytics because that's where we're gonna go in the future, and we'll put that somewhere in the last few minutes of the conversation. Um, I remember when we were having our tech rehearsal. You talked about the day that you were told that you were gonna uh, head Ayala Malls. Can you share it
Oh,
with our listeners? That was a very interesting conversation.
yeah, that was a very memorable day. So in the morning, we had an investment committee presentation for a property acquisition under Alveo. And I was asked by our boss, Bobby D, to see him in the afternoon.
Yeah,
And so I thought it was about, maybe an issue about the business or some concern. Anyway, so long and short of it was that I was told that I was going to be moved to the malls. And because I've been in residential for a very long time, for 21 years, so it was about time that I look after and experience another part of the business. So I was shocked and I was speechless. And the thought that ran in my head was, am I the right person for this? Because I didn't really dream of moving to the malls. I have thought that I'd be in the development business, from designing subdivisions to designing cities and condominium complexes. It was something that excited me. And the mall was not in my radar. I just love, going to the mall, maybe buying stuff, but retail was really not I guess, in my line of sight at that time. And I was also in the middle of school. And I was told that it will be effective pretty soon. I also thought I would have like a few months of transition.
right.
Yeah. So the following day, I had to fly abroad I was in the middle of my EMBA studies. So anyway, it took me maybe just a day or two. Yeah, I cried a bit because it was a very big change. It was uncomfortable for me, but then again, it also to appeal to that side of me where, I'm curious and to be bold as well, to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So I just said that maybe this is the best way to grow, diba? To be uncomfortable and to make
Correct.
that uncomfortable space your own.
But after all these years, why did you think you were not the one for the mall?
No,
When
only
on that
because
at that very moment, why? What?
CJ, the inner introvert in me recoiled at the thought of having to, my impression then, was to socialize more, to be part of events.
Oh no, that's
Um, yeah, because I'd rather work relatively silently, like there on the planning side of things. Development business is so different from retail. And then again, when I was assigned to the malls, and I totally embraced it, just like after 1 or 2 days, okay, na, I said, okay, here's a new family. It just makes your alley family bigger, so more family to love. At the same time, it made me curious. So I said, okay, I look at the malls. I remember during that weekend when I was told about it, and I was in Hong Kong, it was raining. What are the three important things in the malls, ba? So I started writing out like a manifesto. And I said, there's the
okay.
customers that you have to take care of. And you
Okay.
have, of course, your merchants. And
Okay.
then you have your people.
Yes.
And so I said, okay, if I'm going to be taking care of the malls, there are three C's that I'd be looking at. For the malls, for Ayala Malls to be the mall of choice of our customers, and
Right.
for Ayala Malls to be the partner of choice of our merchants, and for Ayala Malls to be the company of choice for our employees. So all our efforts will have to revolve around this.
So with that, that calmed you down.
Yeah, it did. Madali naman akong pakalmahin.
What
No,
was
but
the Sorry? What's the biggest adjustment you had after that introspection?
no, I realized that the mall is like a living, breathing thing.
Okay.
That you have to take care of it every day. You have to take a look at safety. You have to take a look at security, and then be able to deliver a memorable customer experience. So you have your marketing, your operations. It's really like a daily grind, so to speak. It's really just taking care of like a baby. So in terms of adjustment, I gave myself like a year or two adjustment, in the sense that, you know, when you're confronted with something new, you know, in the beginning, maybe because it's something unfamiliar, you'll have to find your way around it, or be right in the middle of it and really begin to understand. And when I joined the malls, there has to, you know, there's that level of humility, of course, right? Because this is a, you know, this is an animal that I've not experienced as a business. And so I wanted to understand it. I also wanted to understand the organization. There were 32 malls. It's like having 32 sub companies with 32 different cultures, right? So it was important to have that appreciation and understanding of how all of these pieces come together.
So your biggest
I don't know if
adjustment, if what was your biggest adjustment?
wow, my biggest adjustment was, I guess, it's running a much bigger organization.
All
Uh,
right.
there's 600 people here. When I was assigned as project development head of Alveo at that time, I was told by my boss then, who was your Brad, no, that was Dan Abando, was the
Yes.
president. Now that you're head of projects, remember that you're going to take care of 68 families in this organization, and whatever you do will impact on these families.
Right.
So I've always taken that advice in mind. And when I moved to the malls, Alveo, we had 200 people there and
Right.
about, I think, 3,000 sellers at that time.
Right.
But when I moved to the malls, there were about close to 600 people plus 7,000 contingent employees. It was daunting. So the adjustment there was being able to reach out to everyone, knowing that you can't do that individually, but how to gather everyone so that you can share your vision. At the same time, understand where people are coming from, and give that sense of purpose and vision.
So
So for
that's
me,
with
that
the,
was a much bigger adjustment.
okay, sorry. That was with your colleagues. Now, on your
Yes.
team, how about your adjustment towards the external side,
Yeah.
retailers, the dynamics of this business?
Very good question, because back in residential, we talk to landowners,
Right.
and that's it. But here,
Right.
you're going to have to talk to uh, a great number of people, and understand brands, understand how a brand moves, what goes into it. Maybe for me, what's so much more fulfilling is understanding the vision behind each brand. So
Yes.
the listening conversations with merchants, these were enlightening conversations for me, especially now. No, before the pandemic happened, we scheduled it because a lot of things were going on, and we couldn't really like schedule so many in a week's time. But during the pandemic, and with all of these virtual meetings transpiring, it was so much easier to reach out to many people and to understand where merchants are today in terms of their business, in terms of their people. So for me, that's the most fulfilling part, to be able to reach out and listen. So in terms of adjustments, yes, now it's about reaching out to many people, but it's also fulfilling in the sense that every decision that you make has that kind of impact, in terms of the support that you provide, in terms of the adjustments you have to make whenever you are, you're given insights or points for improvement. So that for me, talking to many merchants, it was a bit of an adjustment because different personalities, different situations in the business that you have to address. But all in all, for me, it kind of opened up my world and actually broadened my worldview. And so far as um, understanding the business is concerned, talking to people and understanding their vision.
When you wake up in the morning, what gets you going aside from coffee?
Knowing that there are problems to be solved for the day.
Okay.
And I say that in all sincerity. Um, well, maybe the first thing would be gratitude. To be able to wake up every day, that's a gift in and of itself. And so that's why every day that you get to wake up and know that, okay, there are problems that need to be solved today, it gets me going. In fact, sometimes I really don't like sleeping. I just feel that it's a physical requirement. Um, yeah, and so I would be awake, and you just think, and then see how you can execute all of these ideas as fast as you can.
Okay.
So Yeah,
You
that
didn't like
gets me
to sleep.
going.
You didn't like to
Knowing,
sleep. So what keeps you up
uh,
at night? What keeps you up at night? Any
oh,
particular topic that keeps you up at night?
many things like, okay, how else
Top of
can we
mind.
bring the mall closer to our digitalization initiatives?
Okay.
That's top of mind. How to reach out to more customers and merchants, how to connect. That keeps me awake at night. At the same time, how to support our brick and mortar. Like, how do we evolve the experience? Like today, people are so fearful visiting the malls.
Yeah.
How do we address that fear, and how do we conquer it? It's that, and then of course, lobbying or praying that the economy will open up, the restrictions will be lifted. So that gets me excited. Also, the ability to anticipate, because you don't just live in the moment, right? You know that um, next week, next month, the world would change. So are we ready for it? So in the Mancom, we get to discuss all of these ideas. It's quite dynamic, actually. Anyway, that keeps me up at night. So digitalization and how to improve the business some more, and the support that we can give. Because today it's really not about profits. Like I said, no, we threw our profit targets out the window. This year is really all about survival, and a big part of that is collective support. So we can't be an island, right? And it's very important to understand, okay, where are people coming from? What are the issues in the business? How can we best address? And there's no one perfect solution. So it's coming up with all of these solutions. One is doing that, coming up with ideas. Second is actually acting on these ideas as fast as we can.
Okay. Collective support. Okay. There are two things that I talk about. Empowered women. Okay. Empowered women.
Mhm.
I was reading the profile in that one. Really nice, really interesting
Thank
profile.
you.
And one of the things that caught my eye was being an empowered woman, a strong woman, balance, all this balancing act. I remember your mom was also sick. So maybe you can share some of your insights of that period in your life.
Oh, sure. So in 2017, my mom had heart failure, and I was about to start my EMBA then. So I was going to fly to Chicago at that time, and she was diagnosed to have heart failure. And I asked myself, should I drop one to take care of my mom? But my mom is like the Wonder Woman in my life, you know.
Mm.
She was the one who said when I was growing up na dapat para kang kanyon, kahit saan ka ilalagay, dapat
Nice.
pumuputok ka. Because I'm not going to be there for you all the time. And I'm the eldest in the family. I have two brothers, also the eldest among cousins. So I guess it was natural to be accountable, or to be I guess responsible for things. Now, so that was in 2017. I was also a newly minted CEO of Alveo then. So I had to
Okay.
juggle all of these three. My mom being sick, and then school, and then Alveo, and then I got moved to the malls.
Okay.
And then I had my exams, so I would be in the outside the operating room studying. But I guess uh, people would ask, how were you able to juggle all of these
Yes.
things?
Yes.
And I said, you just keep going. You just keep going. If you're tired, rest a bit. Sometimes the pressure would be so much. I have classmates already studying for their exams like 2 weeks prior to school, and I would be at work, or sometimes I'd be in the hospital, and I would be going to, let's say, the Makati Development Building, approving plans. I just wanted to keep going. And I felt also that that was the best way to stretch yourself, like your appetite for complexity would be better developed that way. Also, very glad that I have a supportive husband.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and I have two young daughters. Yeah, who are very supportive as well of their mommy.
Let's
And yeah,
go ahead. There's so much to
yeah,
talk about.
exactly. This is only for 30 minutes. Maybe we should have 3 hours for
Part
this
two.
conversation. Yeah, but
Let's go
it's good
back
to
to
have
support.
a supportive family. It's also very important to have a supportive organization,
Okay.
and bosses also who look after your success, who care about you
Okay,
and your
so
growth
there's support from
and
the
your growth.
family, support from the organization, support from the boss. But you and I know that now there are three generations in the workplace. I'm a baby boomer, you're a Gen Xer. I think Sheila is a Gen, No, you're Gen X, or Sheila
Gen
and
X.
Kenneth
Ken.
are Gen Y. Okay, so
Hendrik.
and then the Gen Zs are coming in. So how do you now get that cocktail
I,
mix going?
number one, I don't believe in a generation gap.
Okay,
I believe that there could be a communication gap if people
okay,
across ages
expound,
don't
please.
if people across ages don't understand each other, because maybe when we were growing up, things were the environment was different, but I guess the values would remain the same. There are traditional values that are carried on, no, from generation to generation. So me, I like talking to my elders because I hear a different perspective to maybe a common problem, for example, in terms of approach, in terms of attack. At the same time, I also like talking to the younger ones because I get a lot of ideas, new ones that maybe were not so present during my time, things that I would not have thought about because it's coming from a different perspective. So I believe in respecting like the different perspectives of these generations and being able to put them all together when we're coming up with a solution to a problem. So I don't see any issues there. I think actually that it's part of celebrating diversity, not just in terms of gender, in terms of race, but also in terms of age.
So your leadership style is collegial or motherly or dictatorial? Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. So two words come to mind, no?
Yes,
They say it's like tough love.
tough love. Okay,
And that's maybe stemming from being a mom, but I wouldn't also like my colleagues or my organization to look at me that way, that hey, here's my mom. I'd like for them to look at me as maybe they're equal in the sense that I don't look at ranks, but
okay.
maybe I just have more experience, right? And that's experience that can be downloaded as we arrive at decisions. So I don't know if those two words are part of a book that talks about, the type of leadership that
No,
you espouse.
but it's
But
okay. It's okay. It's okay. Tough love. Okay. Um,
yeah.
it's a 23-year journey in Ayala Land. And I remember you told me you have this app. Can you tell us about that app you have? That Days
Oh,
Until, correct? That's an interesting one.
so a good
Share
friend
it.
of mine in Ali is retiring this year, and he shared with me this app. It's called Days Until. And in this app, you can put, important dates in your life. Let's say Christmas. How many days until Christmas? How many days until retirement? So I downloaded it because it was fun. At the same time, for me, so I put there my retirement year, and it says 1,900 something days. Now, why is that important for me? Not that I'm looking forward to retirement, but how I feel about it is that if you know exactly how much time you have at work or even in life, then wouldn't you want to maximize it? If you were told today that you only had 1 year to live or 2 years to live, what would you do? And so for me, that particular app tells me that, hey, I have less than 2,000 days to make an impact, to evolve. And, well, basically, I guess prepare a program where I would make possibly a big difference in this world before I leave, and being able to rally the team, behind a particular vision that in the next 5 years could take off or would make a difference insofar as serving our customers and our merchants are concerned. So it's a good app to have.
So in this 2,000-day journey, almost 2,000 days journey, the pandemic's part of
Yes.
it, correct? What was your biggest learnings during this pandemic for yourself and for your business?
Oh, uh, number one is that you have to be tenacious. What does that mean? To not give up, to continue to evolve, um, to not let your fear consume you, actually to recognize that fear and let it
Right,
propel you, right?
right,
And then second, not necessarily in this order, is that you cannot survive alone. Um, Survival is a collective thing, and a big part of that is being committed to each other's success. And so for me, during this pandemic, it was a pivotal moment, no, to bring the organization together, to rally the organization behind the company's programs in terms of, okay, how are we going to pivot the business? How are we going to take care of the organization so we can survive this? How are we going to take care of our merchants? What is the right thing to do, basically? Because doing the right thing is not easy.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to do what's right, no? When you look after your interests and you also look after the community's interests. So it has to be, I think, more global or more universal in terms of the taking care of things. So those two things, it's tenacity and I think collective survival, being committed to each other's success. There are many other things that actually come to mind. A big part of that would also be, I think, the care part.
Okay.
Caring for your organization and caring for all the people around you, everyone in your ecosystem. And then trying to look for ways, because they say necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So in order to survive, what are the things that we need to be able to do? So we also had to think fast. We had to pivot fast. We had to accelerate all our digital initiatives. We had to think out of the box. So it's that creativity that you have to extract from every member of the team so that we don't just remain complacent. We don't just remain passive. Let's just wait for things to open up. No. So I think, whenever a storm rages, you don't just wait it out there, or while waiting it out, you have to do something.
Right.
You have to be busy, but busy in the right sense. You can't also be busy with a lot of activities every day, but no clear sense of direction. So it's like making sure that you run fast, and you run towards the right direction.
Okay. Last two questions. Last two questions.
Sure.
The storm is hitting us. What do you think is the key success factors for retailers who will survive this storm? That's my first question before we end the session.
Are we at the end already?
Yes,
I
I
don't
know, it's so
think
fast.
I don't know
So,
if there's any magic formula to this. I think I'd look at the fundamentals. Number one, it's important to understand your numbers, your business, and then to look at the opportunities by which you can turn your business around. Um, and second, to walk the talk. If you have an idea in mind, it could be a crazy idea, can be a good one. I actually like crazy. Um, have the boldness to pursue it. Have the courage to pursue it in spite of your fear. Some people will say, if I were to do this, I can think of 1,000 reasons why it can't happen. Think of the 1,000, or just one reason why it can. So be curious. I think it's very important to be curious. Um, to pivot, to embrace change. Instead of railing against the disruption that we're experiencing today, embrace it and see what opportunities we can mine out of this adversity that we're facing today. Um, we know that this will end once the vaccine is up. So what sort of strengths can we develop or extract from ourselves? Strength in terms of the organization. How can I further strengthen my organization every time I hit a crisis like this? And then have the appetite for complexity. Sometimes it's so easy to walk away, right? It's so easy to walk away from something that's not palatable to address, no? But I think it's important to confront the problem and not walk away from it. And so we talk about the storm. I think how we weather it is defined by the choices that we make, our decisions, how gritty and persistent we are in spite of our fear. So for me, like, just take every day with unyielding optimism, and just, of course, ground it. No, some people will be overly exuberant, but uh, to have that dose of realism and optimism all together as we make plans for the future. Attack the problems at hand with clarity and purpose. And I think that will allow you to survive. We know that there's so many challenges today. A lot of businesses have folded up, actually. But if we take a look at, I guess, solutions and just embracing this experience and trying to see how we can reshape this in our favor. So we can't sit still. We can't let our fear, I guess, immobilize us. So we have to keep on looking for solutions by which to survive. And you can't do that just by yourself. No, there's so many avenues, I think, and resources that are available that you can make use of. I don't know if that answered the question.
you did.
See,
You did.
that's a
And the
lot.
last question is your for 2021. What's your wish for 2021, the future?
Okay, I hope that that vaccine will be arriving soon. I think that 2021, it's still a matter of survival. Um, it will take some time to rebuild the business. For us to rebuild the business, our merchant partners will have to stabilize their businesses as well. And we're there to support them. I feel though that 2021 will be better than 2020. Things are so fluid today, so we don't really know what's going to happen next. But the things that we can control, these are the things that we can pursue. So my wish for 2021 is for it to be a lot better than 2020, but for people to continue to be safe and healthy, so that we can conquer this fear of going back to the malls. But having said that, we know that a new normal has been established. We have brick and mortar, and then we have online shopping. People will ask, okay, will one be obsolete? Will be rendered obsolete because there's
Right.
online?
Correct.
I totally do not believe that. I cannot imagine, hibernating, hiding in our caves for a very long time. People are social. We would want to interact. We would want to be coming out, and so brick and mortar will continue to be relevant. But online, all our digital initiatives that we have today, all the apps that we have, these are enablers for me, so that customers have the option to shop on ground and online.
All right. Yang, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My
I hope to
pleasure.
see you one of these days for lunch. We have many things to talk about and catch up on. So thank you again for joining us on our first telecast, our
Thank
maiden
you.
telecast. And thank you to
Thank
the
you to the
PRA.
PRA.
Thank you to the PRA. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for
Thanks so
joining
much.
us today. We'll have another one short in a few weeks. I think PRA is having putting that together. And Yang, again, thank you for that inspiring and motivating conversation. Thank you. Good
Thank you,
day to
CJ.
everyone. Stay safe. Stay safe.
Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thanks.